Hey everyone, and welcome to today's video, which is going to be a reading update as well as a book haul. So, I went to the library to return some books, found some books for sale, which I'll talk about after I'm done the reading update. But I'm going to read up a storm before I go to bed. So, let's talk about that. Just last night, I ended up finishing Carrie by Stephen King. This is the first book in my Read King from the Beginning series that I am doing for myself, which is my project where I'm going to be reading Stephen King from publication order, from his earliest work to his newest work, and experiencing his books as fans from the get-go could have experienced them. So, of course, his very first book is Carrie. And I really enjoy this book. This is my, I think, third or fourth time reading it. I don't really remember too much at this point because I get mixed up with movie watching. But it is really good. It's a really good book. And for a first book, it is really stand out as you would read this thinking maybe it's like a second, third book, not a first book. Like someone's first book, you know what I mean? Yeah, I enjoyed it. It is surprisingly actually a lot more a story about Carrie versus a book about Carrie, you know what I mean? It really, while it follows Carrie, it's more about the town, about different characters surrounding Carrie versus it just being about Carrie. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It does take a little bit to get used to the storytelling. The storytelling styles you have. Like the story here of his book. But then when there's a scene break, you'll see it has From the Shall Exploded, documenting the facts of the specific conclusions derived from the case of Carrietta White. And then this whole section here to here will be a it'll be a complete separate thing from the story being told. So it jumps from the story that happens in the past to these excerpts that happen in the future after the events of the main story. But that the way I showed you is it happens just mid-story, and there's no chapter breaks. There's part 1, part 2, and part 3, and that's it. And it can be a little confusing at first, but once you're used to it, it's really good. Of course, I gave it 5 stars. Now moving forward in my reading. This is, of course, book 1, or first book. So I'm moving on to his second published work, which is Salem's Lot. This book I read about 3/4 of it, and it was back when I was more in my lazy reading mood, which was if I owned or I found the movie version, I would watch said movie version and then just stop reading the book, no matter how much I loved it. So I ended up getting to like the 3/4 way mark, and then, finding the Rob Lowe TV miniseries, watching that, and then stopping reading the book. So it'll be an interesting reread. It won't really take long because the printing in here is pretty big for a mass market paperback. But I'm excited because this one is a vampire story. So we are moving on from telekinesis to vampires. So that was my reading, and it sounds like to be my main reading focus moving forward. Probably for the next week or so. Hopefully finish the week hopefully, soon, I don't know. But yeah. So library books. So I had to return the books, and I didn't know the library was closed on a Saturday. Usually they're open. And there were books behind the pillars. They weren't library books, so they were books for donation. So what I ended up doing was I had spare cash on me, put an envelope, put it in the drop box for the books were notes, and this is for the books that were outside. So I either bought these books, or I stole them, and did my criminal act for a year. But they weren't from this library, and they all were from no donations. So I can go ahead, they were donations, so I just left them outside, and the library's closed. That's what I'm going for, I'm sticking to it, but I had a jackpot because there's a whole bunch of good middle grade books. Speaking of good middle grade books, Goosebumps. Classic Goosebumps. We have Welcome to Camp Nightmare. This is the only one that's really bad at, which is The Ghost Next Door, which the pages are still, there's some words that are cut off, but it's pretty much readable. We have Be Careful What You Wish For, The Werewolf of Fever Swamp, Return of the Mummy, My Hairiest Adventure, It Came From Beneath the Sink, and Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes. It says glow in the dark stickers inside. They're still inside. No, they are not. So, yeah. And they were all Goosebumps that I do not have on my shelf, which is very surprising. And then keeping on with the Goosebumps, we have modern day Goosebumps. We have Goosebumps Hall of Horrors, Why I Quit Zombie School. Hall of Horrors, The Birthday Party of No Return. Goosebumps Most Wanted, How I Met My Monster. Most Wanted, A Nightmare on Clown Street. And then we have the rest are from Horrorland. We have Revenge of the Living Dummy. Creep from the Deep. The Scream of the Haunted Mask. Help, We Have Strange Powers. And the funniest one of all, Little Shop of Hamsters. But yeah, I love these books. You can never go wrong with a Goosebumps book. In my opinion, you can never go wrong with a Goosebumps book. Next, Jackpot. Carry of Wimpy Kid books. We have number 2, Roderick Rules. 3, The Last Straw. 5, The Ugly Truth. This one is very beat up. So I'll have to either replace it, just be very, very careful. As Cabin Fever, you see, it was well loved. We have 10, 11, and 12, Old School, Double Down, and The Getaway. You see what I'm talking about? Good jackpot yet? More goodness to come. This box is goodness upon goodness upon goodness that I found. You ready for the ultimate goodness? 5 books of the Boxcar Children. I love these books. We have number 1, the Boxcar Children. Number 3, the Yellow House Mystery. Number 4, Mystery Ranch. Number 10, Schoolhouse Mystery. And number 7, the Woodshed Mystery. I'm saying the only thing that would have made this find better would have been Magical Treehouse books, because those books were my true childhood, and I want to get the full series of them. I don't care how much they are for your kids, how, they're like this, where it's like easy breezy books, thin books. I want those books. We have here 40 Acres and Maybe a Mule. Never heard of it, but it'll be a good read. More childhood favorite books. Judy B. Jones. This one is Judy B. Jones and the Yucky Lucky Fruitcake. And Judy B. Jones Loves Handsome War. And the ones I never heard of, we have Dear Dumb Diary, My Pants Are Haunted. Dear Dumb Diary Year 2. The Super Nice or Super Annoying. You can bet on that. And Love Each Day to the Dumbest. And then there's still more. We have The Shadow Project by Herbie Brennan. Never heard of him. When did it come out? 2010. I'll give it a shot, why not? The Apprentice Witch by James Nicole. And a lot of these books are scholastic books, which they are really good books. You can go on a scholastic book. Ultra Finds, Nancy Drew, number 1 and 2. So I have Secret of the Old Clock, which I actually do have, excuse me, this book in, excuse me, the original 1950s, I believe. Yeah, and they're running the original covers, and then the Hidden Staircase. This is the ones you mostly find now, the yellow covers. I have Sisters by Rena Telgemeier. This is a graphic novel, actually. Suddenly Supernatural Scaredy Cat. This is book 2 by Elizabeth Cody Kimmel. And the nice thing about these is a lot of these I can be able to find them either, I can look on Cloud Library, Hoopla, or Scribd for their books. If not, I can look on Thrift Books, and you can get paperbacks like this for like $3.50, something like that, 3 1/4. So even though there's a book cheap, I can get the other one is cheaper, We have Scorched by Mary Mancusi. Yeah, because it's from a local middle school. But a lot of these books, they don't look red, which makes me very sad for our new generation, because these are middle grade books. These are the books you're supposed to be reading. That's the age you're supposed to be reading. It's all tablets nowadays. It's all tablets. We have Triple Trouble by Julia DeVilles and Jennifer Roy. No kids want books anymore. It's all about the tablets and smartphones. I feel old. A Dark Inheritance by Chris DeLacy. Looks pretty good. Sounds like it's a book in a series. Book 1. Very lucky, book 1. We have by Tamara Pierce, Trickster's Choice. I've heard really good things about Tamara Pierce. And this one, I don't know. I'll have to look up. But yeah, I hit the jackpot, or if these weren't supposed to be for donation, I still donated $10. So in some way, shape, or form, I made up for it. We have book 1 of 5 in a series, which is a series that if I'm being honest, I'm not 100% like gung-ho about, but I feel it is there, grab it. And that's the Maze Runner series. There's the Maze Runner is book 1, and then the Fever Code, which is book 5, but I believe this is actually book 0 in the story. And tells you how the maze was made. And the only adult novel in there that I found was by Eugenia Price. And it's Before the Darkness Falls. And my mom said it sounds like it's a love story. And it must be number 3 in a series. And they hold, because you see there's number 3 right here. I wanted to put it because there's the last owner's name, like the address label. So I don't know if it's like book 3. Continues the grand saga of the Browning, McKay, and Stiles family. The successors are Savannah and To See Your Face Again. So this is book number 3 in that series. So I will look around about finding the other ones. So that is it. Can you say an epic find? Let's get a thumbnail. Let's get a nice thumbnail here. How about these ones? Let's just hold these up. Okay. Yeah, epic find. Because a lot of these Jerry Wimpy books I can get at the library themselves. Goosebumps books I know you get at the library all the time. So yeah, I seen the bag, there was like a zipper bag of Goosebumps, like, I'm excited, I'm taking them. But anyways, excuse me. It is late. I am tired. I'm gonna go ahead and edit this stuff together and go to bed and read. So I will see you guys in my next video. If you have any opinions on the books, let me know in the comments, because hopefully I'll be getting around to reading them soon. Especially Goosebumps. I think I will be putting these Goosebumps in my other Goosebumps and keep them by my bedside, because who doesn't love a good Goosebumps novel? Especially if you have Scribd, hold on. If you have Scribd, or Scribed, however you want to say it, they have in the classic Goosebumps, they have a mix of different ones on here, on Scribd, or Scribed. Like they have Stay Out of the Basement, that shows you Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes, Return of the Mummy. A lot of these books, I can just pull these up right here. The audiobooks are 2.5 hours long. That's a movie. You know what I mean? And then they have, I believe they actually have the full prove me wrong. Is it just not listed? They have most of the Goosebumps Horrorland. So they have most like the Horrorlands on here. You just have to be, because sometimes they're not like labeled in things, but they pretty much have that full kind of series, you know, on there. And then, yeah. So, like, if I'm in a lazy mood, I can be like, okay, I'm in the mood to listen to or read Revenge of the Living Dummy, Book 1. Right here on here, audiobook, 2.5 hours. And it would probably take me about 4 or 5 hours to read this. So, yeah. But anyways, that's just me going to say Scribd or Scribed, however I pronounce it, is worth $9.99 a month. There's a lot of good books in there. Audio, ebook, magazines, podcasts, all that kind of stuff. No, I'm not sponsored. No, I have an affiliate link. I just like it. But anyways, I know how to put all this away, because, all piled in front of me. So I will see you guys very soon in a new video.